You ever wonder if a 2,000-year-old text can teach us something new about how we handle conflict today? Well, in this explainer, we're going to explore a really fascinating chapter from the Gospel of Luke, but we're going to look at it through a modern lens, nonviolent communication, or NVC. It's a framework that's all about connecting with each other by focusing on what we all need as humans instead of getting stuck in blame and judgment. Let's dive in. So here's our roadmap. We're going to walk through 5 pretty distinct scenes. We'll start by tackling blame, then we'll see a big clash between rules and human needs, explore some cool metaphors for growth, redefine what real connection looks like, and we'll end with a really stunning and raw expression of personal heartbreak. Right out of the gate, the chapter hits us with one of the toughest human questions there is. I mean, this is a question that we still see all over our news headlines today. It's about tragedy and that deep, almost automatic impulse we have to find a reason why, to find someone or something to blame. So our first stop is all about tackling this head on. The text really confronts our tendency to draw a straight line from suffering to guilt. And that pattern of judgment is something that nonviolent communication is designed to help us unpack. Okay, so picture this. The breaking news of the day involves 2 terrible events. First, you have a brutal act of political violence, people killed by the Roman governor Pilate. And second, what seems like a totally random, tragic accident. A tower collapsed and killed 18 people. So folks bring these stories to Jesus, and they're basically asking the question that's on everyone's mind. Why them? What did they do to deserve this? And the response is just bam, an immediate, absolute rejection of the blame game. He completely refuses to sit there and score the moral character of the victims. In NVC terms, this is a huge move. It's a shift away from making judgments about people and toward simply observing what happened. Now, instead of blaming the victims, he tells the crowd to repent. That word can sound pretty heavy, right? But if you look at it through this NVC lens, it's not about shame or feeling sorry for yourself. It's a call for a massive shift in how you think, to literally turn away from that whole blame and judgment mindset and reconnect with everyone else on a human level. Okay, so we've gone from a big public disaster to a really personal conflict. This next part explores what happens when a deeply held rule goes head-to-head with a person's suffering, right in front of everyone. So we meet this woman who has been suffering for 18 years. She's described as being bound, literally unable to stand up straight. And when Jesus sees her, he heals her. It's this incredible moment of freedom and joy. But not everybody in the room is happy about it. And this just lays out the conflict so clearly. The synagogue leader, he's not necessarily a bad guy. He's focused on protecting a strategy, the rule about the Sabbath. But he's so locked into the rule that he completely ignores the universal human needs staring him in the face, this woman's profound need for healing, for dignity, for an end to her pain. Jesus' response is sharp. It is direct. He calls out the hypocrisy. Now, in NVC, this might be seen as a protective use of force with language. The goal isn't to punish or attack, but to use shocking words to wake people up from a way of thinking that's causing harm. And this question is the whole point. He totally reframes the debate. He's saying, you think the Sabbath is about stopping things? No way. The Sabbath is the perfect day for the work of liberation. He connects the purpose of the rule, which is about restoration, directly to the need of the person. Okay, so after those 2 really intense conflicts, the whole tone of the chapter shifts. Now we get these beautiful little stories, these parables from nature that are all about nurturing potential instead of just judging performance. So the first story is about a fig tree that isn't producing any fruit. The owner's reaction? It's pure judgment. It's useless. Cut it down. But the gardener steps in and says, whoa, hold on. Let's make a plan. And here it is. This isn't about demanding results. It's about creating the conditions for growth. It's a strategy that shifts from condemnation to compassion. And he keeps going with these amazing images of growth. You have a teeny tiny mustard seed that grows into this massive tree offering shelter to birds. Then you've got a little bit of yeast that works its way through a huge amount of dough, changing everything from the inside out. Both of these are metaphors for how small, seemingly insignificant acts of compassion can create massive systemic change. All right, our next section dives into a really challenging question about who gets saved. And the answer we get moves the focus away from some kind of religious checklist and puts it squarely on the quality of our actual relationships. I mean, it's such a human question, isn't it? We want to know the rules of the game. Who's in, who's out. It comes from this place of anxiety, this need for certainty. But the answer he gives isn't a simple number. Instead, he tells the story about people trying to get through a closed door. And look at what they say. Hey, we ate and drank with you. You taught in our streets. It's a claim of association, right? Of just being nearby. But the response is devastating. I don't know you. The point is, it's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's about being in a real, known relationship. And this leads to this famous line about the great reversal. This isn't just about switching places. It suggests the entire value system is being flipped upside down. The people who thought they were first because of their status or their associations, they find themselves on the outside. True connection is something else entirely. Now we get to the end of the chapter, and it's the most personal and emotional moment of all. Because here, Jesus isn't just teaching NVC principles, he's modeling them himself by honestly expressing his own feelings and unmet needs right in the face of a direct threat. So some allies come to him with a stark warning. This isn't a vague rumor. It's a specific death threat from Herod, the highest political authority in the area. I mean, the stakes just could not be higher. His first response is all about defiant purpose. He dismisses Herod as a fox. Cunning, yeah, but not the one who's ultimately in control. He flat out refuses to be driven by fear and makes it clear he's going to finish the work he came to do. But then the tone just completely shifts from that defiance to deep vulnerability. This is just a perfect, heartbreaking example of expressing feelings and needs. What's the feeling? It's longing. And the universal need underneath? It's for the safety, the community, the well-being of the people he cares about. He's not blaming them here. He's mourning the disconnect, the tragedy that they weren't willing to connect. So, as we look back over the whole chapter, you can just see these NVC principles woven all the way through. We're challenged to move from judgment to just observing what is. We're shown how to look for the human need that's hidden behind a rigid rule. We're warned not to mistake just being around someone for a real relationship. And finally, we get this incredible model of how to express our own deepest feelings and needs with honesty. And all of that leaves us with this final question, because looking at an ancient text through a modern lens like this, it doesn't just tell us a story about the past. It kind of holds up a mirror, and it asks us to look at our own conflicts, our own relationships, and our own hearts. So the real question is for you, where in your life is the invitation to choose connection over judgment?